I want to note the time and the day is April 11th. It's 9:51 a.m. here, and I am documenting this conversation with a recording, just so that you know.
Okay.
And my name is Fran, and I just have a couple of different questions about some of the watering schedule activity and stuff. One of the first ones would be if any of the data and anything that's being collected here is being communicated with the NWS or NOAA at any level that you're aware of?
I don't know. I'm not familiar with that. I don't know.
Okay. Is there somebody there that I could speak to that would be familiar with that?
You can go to SNWA.com.
I have been.
Just go to SNWA.
I have been. I've been searching for the information, and that's why I'm making the phone call. I've already been through the websites.
I'm not done. Did you submit an email online?
No, I don't really communicate through email when I'm looking for documentation and, records and data.
What you would do is submit an email online regarding what you're asking.
Okay,
for,
well,
and the appropriate department within SNWA can get back to you. But I'm not familiar with the NOLA or anything.
Okay, that's what I'm saying is that's the reason why I'm actually contacting you. You're the Southern Nevada Water Authority's recommendation for information about conservation outreach and information concerning conservation policies.
But that specific question you're asking about NOLA or whatever the case, I don't know. So that's what I'm telling you, to go on the website and you can submit an actual email, internal email, and somebody will get back to you within a couple of days and give you that information you're looking for.
Okay, well, that's an issue because I don't do the email thing. So
I don't have anybody I can get you to speak to. So that's our procedure. That's our process.
Okay, and your name was?
Vince.
Vince? Okay. Mm-hmm. And you are with? This is the
SNWA.
The Southern Nevada Water
Conservation.
Authority's conservation. Okay. All right. Well, all right. Well, I guess there's no point in asking any other questions. I mean, what exactly if I wanted to ask some questions about conservation and stuff and some of the policies with the watering schedule and different things like that, who would I speak to about that locally then?
Okay. Well, what questions do you have about the watering schedule?
Well, I guess one of my biggest questions would be, is there any consideration being taken by any of the conservationists that are enforcing this? Not necessarily enforcing. I don't want to say enforcing. That's a poor choice word. I guess any of the data and anything that's being collected, is any of it being communicated with anyone outside of the city of Henderson? And if there are conservation measures being taken, like with the removal of the green spaces and different things like that, is anyone from the conservation department here taking into consideration how that might affect our atmosphere and affect our weather patterns and affect our drought conditions under certain circumstances?
Oh, okay. Yeah. I'm sure they consider all factors. I mean, I don't know specifically as far as the environment and those type of things. I'm sure they do take it into consideration, but obviously the main thing is conservation is trying to hold on to the water that we have. So, yeah, I'm sure they factor that in, but primarily it's about obviously saving water.
Okay. Well, I don't know, just some of my own personal education and independent research, you can call it, I guess, as far as removing green spaces and stuff goes. There are several examples dating back to, I want to say, the early 70s, 72, 73, when some policies and things were put in place throughout California and Colorado. And Oregon was another area too, but that's a whole other story. But, speaking of California, what I'm seeing here in Henderson, a lot of these changes with removing green spaces and planting drought-resistant plants and different things like that, I've seen this same thing in other places. And if we go back through the history of when those policies in those other places were implemented and then look at them now and the different situations that have occurred, including flash drought, another term that they're using now is called weather whiplash, where you have a really hot day and then the very next day you're down 50, 60 degrees in temperature, and then the next day you're back up. They call that weather whiplash when parts of California and Colorado even have experienced this, this type of a weather whiplash where eventually it leads to a flash drought. It leads to extreme flash flooding, which increases like sinkhole activity, where parts in water reservoirs that were once holding water are voiding, and they're creating large cave-ins. I mean, it's a part of the history that's been going on for a couple of decades throughout California. If you look into some of the research, and some of the things that are going on here concern me. And this is, I don't want to get too emotional about it, but I just know too many people that have suffered great losses in other areas where this type of thing, and I see us heading right down the same road. Drought-resistant plants also don't photosynthesize the same way, so it's going to decrease our air quality. Flash fire is another issue that I'm kind of concerned about. And if we continue to remove our green spaces that actually provide little filtration systems to remove impurities, such as oils and things on the roads, if we continue to remove that stuff, it's going to decrease our water quality too, which is another issue that's been documented in these areas where these same things have been. And we're just seems like we're right in the very beginning of some of this right now. We're just going in like the third, fourth year of some of this stuff really being pushed hard. And I would not be able to live with myself if I just sat here and just let it go without actually at least communicating with someone.
What I would suggest too, there's actually a board meeting on. If you want to present these concerns that you have, there's a board meeting on April 29th. You can get the information at lbvwd.com. So maybe that might be an option for you.
That interests me a great deal. Is that something that I could join in like on a Zoom or something?
Yes, you can get the information for it. They usually post the information 72 hours before the meeting, and it's scheduled for 4/29. So
okay,
you just go to lvbwd.com a few days before that, and just type in board meeting, and you'll see the information for the meeting.
Okay, I'm going to be checking that out. I'm going to check that out because I think it would probably be one of my very few chances to be able to share just a little bit of information and my concerns. So, yeah. I'm worried about our air quality. I'm concerned about the flash drought. I've already experienced the weather whiplash the last few weeks. I don't know, and just about anybody around me has pretty much observed and noticed this weather whiplash where we're up and down, and and I'm trying not to be that person, that some people might call a Karen nowadays, where I'm trying to tell people what they should or shouldn't do, because I just think that people should have a little bit more information before making decisions to change our entire landscape, which ultimately, brings me back to what my first question was, that all of this that's being implemented is across a pretty wide area, which would actually directly affect our upper atmosphere, which would directly influence our weather patterns, which would be considered some form of modification, which should actually be, by all rights and scientific terms, communicated with the National Weather Service and NOAA, because if it's not, then they're not following the proper science when it comes to this kind of stuff, and that kind of concerns me too. So anyway, I'm going to look forward to that little meeting there. So I'm thank you for making me aware of that, and I want you to know that I appreciate your time, Vince. And hopefully I can maybe help at least educate a few people, and more people can make a little bit more of a informed decision before we move too much further into all of these policies and things where too many people end up with fines, and that's a part of it that really concerns me. I don't like to see or even think about anybody being fined for using a water resource, for using a precious and vital resource for whatever means. I mean, I understand how our water table works and everything. It all runs off and we filtrate it. But again, there's plants and things that help to naturally filtrate. They're tolerant to some of these chemicals and things that wash off the roadways, and they take care of it and they filter it before it ever makes it in. But if we continue to remove those and replace them with plants and things that don't do that, our water is going to go downhill too. I'm just saying. Anyway.
Okay, well, everybody sign up for the board meeting and you can voice your concerns and go from there.
Awesome. Thank you, Vince. You have a good one.
Cool.